direction. I think they've actually gone full time with this. No refusal.
The Ken Leverett radio program is dedicated to debunking the delusional American mythology known as statism.
Initiation of force is always immoral.
Always think outside the government. Always, 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 always think outside the government.
Always, always, always.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on the natural telephone for y'all. Yeah,
Is the audio working now? Is the sound working now? Holy shit! I'm just going to blame this one on Puss the Gay Cat. A cord was not all the way plugged in. And I've got buzzing. How's that, Proctor? Got rid of that one. And buzzing's still there. Okay, what else? Maybe if I'll hold my hand up and give a peace sign. Ah, fuck that buzzing. Y'all just have to deal with it or boot me off. I'm just going to play some of these clips. And I'm going to do the women delivering the newspaper one.
With Chip to get more on this, LAPD officers were patrolling a Torrance neighborhood to guard a target on Dorner's manifesto. They opened fire on a car they mistook for possibly looking like Dorner's and injured two that were not involved in any of this. And Chip Yost is in Torrance with more on that developing story. Chip.
Yeah, we actually had two officer-involved shootings in this neighborhood with two different police departments, and in both cases, it now appears there were cases of mistaken identity. Let's take you down here to the active investigation going on right now on Red Bean here in Torrance. This is where this started. Early this morning, you see a blue car or blue truck way down there. In the back of that truck, there are a lot of newspapers. It looks like those people driving that truck were probably delivering those newspapers earlier this morning. It happened around 5:20. From the video we've seen, it looks like it was two women inside the truck. But when that truck was coming down the street, there were actually 7 LAPD officers and an LAPD sergeant in this Torrance neighborhood. The reason they were in this Torrance neighborhood is because we're told it has a connection to the Dorner case. They were on protective duty, which we can only take to mean that someone who lives in this neighborhood may somehow have been targeted by Christopher Dorner. Well, as that truck was rolling down the street, the officers saw it. And, of course, they've had that bulletin out for the other truck, the truck they believe that Christopher Dorner has been driving. It looks somewhat similar. They see the truck coming down the street. Something happens, causes officers to fire their weapons. They actually hit those two women in the truck. Luckily, the two women are expected to survive. They're both, we're told, now in stable condition. On some video we had, we actually saw one of them walking themselves into the ambulance. But that shooting down there actually triggered a second officer-involved shooting, another case of mistaken identity. How that one happened? Well, when the shots were fired in this neighborhood, people called police, said they heard shots fired. Torrance police responded. As they were coming around the corner, they ran into another pickup truck, a different pickup truck that had another driver in it, looked similar. The driver, or not the driver, but the truck looked similar to that one they'd been looking for. There was a collision between a Torrance police car and that truck, and another officer-involved shooting. Luckily, in that one, the person in that truck was not hit. Again, a case of mistaken identity. Torrance police tell us that the officer involved believed Dorner was in the truck. He was not. So we have two investigations going on with two different departments in this neighborhood, and all of the streets blocked down, as you can see here. That's the latest. Jess, Glenn, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, Chip, thank you very much.
Good grief.
At TurboTax, we know this is more than a paycheck.
Fuck you, TurboTax. I hate those damn ads they just throw in there. I'm going to turn turn that down a little bit. I think there's some way to get rid of those ads, but I don't know how to do it. Keystone Cops. Yeah, here's some Keystone Cop footage. That's not the one I was looking for. I was looking for the music. It's hilarious. I mean, just the music. I mean, obviously you can't hear. No, silent comedies, that's not going to do any good. The music to the Keystone Cops, it's hilarious. Just Google the Keystone Cops or YouTube them. We'll find another one. Keystone Cops meet pickles and pepper. Let's see what this one does. There we go. Faster than a speeding bull terrier. More powerful than a local Roscoe. It's the Los Angeles Police Department shooting Asian women because they're truck. Alright, hang on. More ad calls. Hello. There, we got you. I probably did something wrong, I'm sure. Can't be accepted. I have a request. How do I accept a request? Anybody know how to accept requests? Accept gate. Incoming call. Accept the request. Where's it at? Where's it at? Not that one. Not that one. Contacts. Scrolling down. And I don't see him. Add a contact. Add to group call. I think I'm hanging up on this person. I'm not answering it. I'm just simply adding it to add group call. Am I doing it wrong? Proctors will let me know. I'll call you. And this person on the lower land number. I'll have a land number. There we go. Add them to the contact first. And send. You got it. All right, accept my request. Add to group call. Participants send files. I already added. I've added it. That ain't doing it. That's not doing it either. WTF. Add a contact. Right. Okay, whoever this SIPgate person is, I've sent you a request or whatever. Apparently, we've got to be buddies here on Skype before it hangs up. So whoever SIPgate incoming call is, either accept the request or tell me how to accept it. You got to change that Skype setting so anyone can call. I'm reading Proctor's notes. I don't know what that means. You got to change that Skype setting. Where's the Skype setting? Tools. Options. Okay, I'm at Tools Options. Go ahead, Proctor. When I double click, the contacts start to call first. Show me as a way when I've been active to start. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it either. Privacy. Okay, I'm at privacy. Go ahead. Next. Allow calls from anyone. That's what it says from anyone. Allow calls from anyone. That's the little radio button that's pushed in. Okay, there's 2 or 3 different ones. I'm just going to make them all anyone. And save. Okay, I can allow calls from anyone. I am a Skype whore. So anyone can call in now. So whoever this SIPgate person is, call away. All right, here goes. Add to is SIPgate there.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh my God, yeah, I can hear you.
Alright, cool, this is Eric. But anyway, here's the new call-in number. It's 415-707-2236.
415, I'm writing it down. Say it again, 415.
415-707. 2236.
2236. Okay.
Yep.
Over to the chat now. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there. 415-707-2236. Enter.
Yep, that's it. I didn't know that other one was going to end so quickly, or I would have warned you. So I had this one set up ahead of time to wait, just in case, you know.
Okay.
All right.
Nothing like grassroots radio, brother.
Yeah, I hear you. Hopefully Ben will call in, you know.
Well, he'd been trying to call. He's the one who's been texting me saying he's calling in. It wouldn't work. But
Oh, okay, yeah. And so I tried that one, and it told me it was out of service. So I thought, well, they must have canceled it on us or something. But anyway, this one should work. So.
Okay. Ben.
All right, I'm going to get off here. I'm not good on the radio.
Oh, well, that makes 2 of us. 415-707-2236.
Yep.
All right, I just texted him. That's it. Yeah,
All right.
All right. Peace, homie.
Very good.
So SIPgate was my proctor. I didn't even realize that. I kind of assumed that. Okay, now the cord's plugged in, that my gay cat puss plugged. SIPgate calling you again. I guess that's going to be the same one. one every time. Add to your call.
Hey, you get it working there?
Yeah, we got a new number, and I plugged in the fucking cord that I'm going to blame on Puss the gay cat.
Well, excellent. Excellent. So that's good. Well, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing an impromptu show that I was completely not prepared for, and Murphy's Law happened to me. How the hell are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You were doing great there for a little bit until we all started complaining that we couldn't call in, and that threw everyone for a loop. But are you ready to rumble?
Yeah, I'm ready to rumble. Have you? Have you looked into this Dorner stuff, or what's on your mind?
Well, yeah, the Dorner stuff seems pretty simple. A guy who was accused of being a cop killer was driving around, and then some LAPD cops saw a truck that looked like his truck and just shot the hell out of the two Asian ladies inside of it. I mean, just business as usual for the police.
Yeah, business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a good spot for a new Peaceful Streets project.
Yeah. Maybe Peaceful Streets, L.A., but yeah, the one thing that I was mostly interested in today is to see how the Democrats are now starting to come down on Obama about the droning policy. That was a big deal in Washington today.
Really? Now, I saw a clip of Morning Joe talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
wasn't he
like we mentioned on the Caleb Leverett show a couple of weeks ago, you're going to start seeing this stuff. This is one of the things that was mentioned in that Brookings Institute report that we released on the show a couple of weeks ago, is nobody is happy about the droning. And what they're specifically talking about right now is, all right, it's time to stop denying that we're doing these things. Let's take ownership of it, and let's create some rules around these kinds of things so that the rest of the world doesn't follow our example and just drone the hell out of whoever they want.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, though, that Morning Joe, that was the first mainstream report of it that I'd ever even heard of. The only people complaining about it that I knew of was just typical libertarians who are always screaming from the rooftops via their laptop or Facebook.
You're exactly right. I heard it on every news station I tuned into today. I heard it on NPR, I heard it on CNN, and I think that's probably the only two that I tuned into today. But yeah, it was big news across the board. And, it goes to prove, not to prove, but it's just more evidence that the things that we talk about in the liberty movement are starting to become mainstream. We're starting to see that. So whatever we're doing, so far it's working, and I think we're probably not too far away from having to revisit our liberty movement strategy as more of a mainstream strategy. I don't want that to be taken the wrong direction, but what's the old Gandhi quote? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they
attack you, or then you win.
Then they attack you, and then you win. Something like that. So, in certain realms of the philosophy, we're already starting to win. I mean, we're already getting to that point already. So once that happens, we'll have to kind of regroup and go, okay, now what? But yeah, I think this droning thing, like you said, you saw it on mainstream today. I saw it on loads of mainstream stations today. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, in Morning Joe, it's Joe Scarborough, I think. Wasn't he a former congressman? I don't
know anything about Morning Joe.
I'm pretty sure he was a former Democrat congressman. And the only reason I know that is he interviewed Ron Paul one time, and I happened to see it, and they were talking about it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's about as he's as mainstream as anybody. I don't even know which ABC, NBC, one of those, or MSNBC. I'm not sure which one he's on, but I don't watch television, but I saw a YouTube video of it, and I thought, holy crap, they're actually confirming what we crackhead libertarians have been talking about for years. I thought
exactly, and it's good news, and even more so, I think it is. This was the first thing that Caleb, that you and I released from that Brookings Institute report 2 weeks ago where I was saying, listen, you're going to start seeing this stuff, what we're talking about here, over the next weeks and months. And today, that's the first thing that happened. So I think you're going to start seeing some of the other stuff that we talked about, such as ending the embargo on Cuba. I think we'll see that. What were some of the other things in there? The drone policy, the Cuba thing.
Fracking. Didn't they talk about fracking at the Brookings Institute, or am I mistaken?
Well, they did, but not in the same sense as what we talked about in Austin. At the Brookings Institute, what they talked about is we're only a few years away from becoming energy independent, meaning that we will, instead of importing oil, we will be able to export oil to other countries.
To the best of my knowledge, I thought there were exporters in the U.S. Now, I really don't know that for sure, but
there may be, but we're not a net exporter, meaning we don't produce all of the oil that we use or all of the energy that we use. We still have to import a lot of it, not nearly as much as we used to have to. And right now we're already down to like 4% importing from hostile countries. It'd be great for that to be 0% as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, but then again, if it's easier to extract oil in a particular geographical area, whether the people are hostile or not, maybe they, and I'm preaching the choir talking to you about this, but as far as, if we, the whole blowback thing, if we just peacefully trade with these people, because from what I understand, and I've never been to, say, Saudi Arabia, but from what I understand, the shit practically flows out by itself. You don't have to have the drilling technology the way we have it here, where you've got, one well could cost up, $5, $6, $10 million, where you drill down 10,000 feet and then go over another 2,000 or 3,000 feet to do the horizontal. I mean, there's a lot of costs that in certain places they don't have that, and I could be mistaken, but that's what what little I know I've read about.
Well, I think you're exactly right that it is expensive to do that, but I don't think it's as expensive as importing it from over there. For a couple of reasons. One, just shipping stuff across the ocean, there's a lot of cost involved with that. And number two, we don't have control over their policy. So OPEC can just up and charge $400 a barrel, and the only thing that we could do, we meaning the United States as a country, is basically nothing. So it's, there's an element of control there that if we don't need their oil, that's going to drive the price down. It's because it's cheaper to produce it here for us. Could be totally wrong on that. I'm certainly not an oil and gas economics expert, but from what I understand, it is at least of strategic interest to become a net oil exporter.
Yeah.
Just from what I understand.
Oil is king. Oil is God. Oil starts
and it will
wars.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to continue to be. And that was another thing they said. No matter how much onto alternative energies we get, all right, that's good. That's good so long as, the price is correct. It's fine to get onto alternative energies. But these brand new economies in India and China and, all these countries that are just really starting to come up into first world country status, they're going to be on oil and coal for a long time to come. So the quicker we can get ourselves onto alternative energies and become a net oil and coal exporter, instead of our money going to them, their money will start coming to us because they're going to need oil and coal more than we will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you know me, I'm the conspiracy theorist deluxe. It just seems to me there is way too much money to be made in controlling and subsidizing and oil itself for alternative energies to ever have any kind of, to ever get off the ground. I mean,
but we're certainly.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we're certainly years and years away from that. But what we have seen over the last 5 years or so is the price of oil and coal steadily increasing, while the price of wind energy, solar energy, those things have been decreasing. Now, we haven't hit the point yet where wind and solar is cheaper than oil and coal. We haven't hit that point, but we probably will sooner rather than later. And so once that happens, yeah, you're right. King oil, and there's a lot of conspiracies wrapped around it, and most of them I would say probably true. But once King oil is now, once it's more expensive than wind and solar or whatever other kinds of alternative energies, well, then what's the incentive? The incentive then becomes, let's jump over to solar and wind. It's a price incentive, just like everything else. And that's a very Austrian economic thought. I think we can be basically cool with that idea.
Well, and not to change the subject, but I've been reading about this. Are you familiar with what they call the tar sands?
Tar sands? No, I don't think I am.
It's they call it a bitumen. I don't know how they pronounce it. Bitumen or bitumen. It's a substance that's oily, but it's fused somehow with some kind of sand. And the largest deposit of it is in central Canada. And apparently the environmentalist people, the tree huggers, such as myself possibly, if I knew more about it, their claim is it is one of the most disgusting, nastiest. It's like molasses. It sticks to everything. It stinks. It burns dirty. But apparently they heat it up and they melt out the bitumen or bitumen, whatever it's called, and put it in these pipelines, and that's part of what's leading to the people or certain people wanting this Keystone XL pipeline, which is basically going to be a gigantic crater in the earth. It's going to essentially cut North America in half, going all the way from Canada, cutting through every single, not all those states, all these private properties, like 30, 40, 50, 100-foot wide, 30-foot deep pipeline all the way down to Texas. But anyway, I'm certainly hoping that some of these alternative energies are able to come on sooner than later, because that Keystone XL pipeline just stinks to high heaven.
It does. When Christy Craddock was talking to us last week, she mentioned the Keystone pipeline and mentioned eminent domain. And she said, this is a mess. Nobody wants to seize, people's land to dig this thing. Nobody wants to do that. And she didn't really offer a solution, but she certainly said the words eminent domain, which I was just impressed enough about that. And, this is a problem. This is a problem we need to be able to innovate our way out of somehow. And, of course, we as free citizens are going to just have to do it ourselves, is kind of what it sounds like to me. We're going to have to innovate our way out of this kind of problem. Alternative energy, it's one way to do it. What she mentioned to me that Caleb, you've talked about before to me, is, okay, this is one pipeline coming through that everyone had a big stink about, but if you've ever looked at the grid of pipelines, the entire country is covered with them. It's covered with pipelines, and it's still not meeting the energy requirements to get oil, to get energy from where it comes out of the ground to where it's needed, not efficiently. Right. So, whereas this Keystone pipeline will be a net profit, it will be probably a net benefit, maybe. If there were a better system, I promise they would do it. It would just be much better. And that brings us back to the storage, the battery idea. They feel this is Brookings, not the Texas Railroad Commission, but Brookings said this is where the best solution would lie. Now, can we invent that thing? We don't know. We don't know.
Well, I'm still not clear on what it is they're wanting invented, this gigantic battery.
Well, you say gigantic, but it could be as big as a hair. You know, all it needs to do is be able to transport energy efficiently. It could be 10 billion things that are the size of an atom.
Okay, well,
as long as it can...
let's list the known ways of transporting energy.
Sure.
Okay, one could be through a pipeline. One could be through transmission lines, power lines, high lines.
Right.
One could be over-the-road trucks. One could be tankers on a ship.
Right.
What other ways are there to transfer energy, or is that the big question? Is that what they're looking for?
Yeah, that's kind of what they're looking for. There are other ways. First of all, chemically, that's what's basically going down into batteries, like your AA batteries. It's chemically they're transporting, and they packed it into this battery, and there you go. How about this one?
Whoa.
Biologically.
Hang on just a second. First, yeah, sure, the energy is in the battery. They'll say the AA. But say it's made in Georgia. How does it get to Texas? Well, it's shipped to Texas on a truck.
Right. Right. And right now, you are actually at a net energy loss, is what Craddock was saying. You actually lose more energy driving. The whole truck's full of batteries, all right? It takes you 3 times as much energy to move all those batteries to where they need to go. So that's really a net energy loss as far as just energy. Now, of course, these batteries go to market, and you buy them because you need them, but ultimately, you end up use 3 times as much energy getting them there. All right, so what's a more efficient way to transfer energy? Well, you were talking about different kinds. Here's an idea that I had. Biologically, all right? Biologically is the best storage of energy that we know of. As far as I know, and of course I'm not a scientist.
Give an example. I don't even know. How do you store energy biologically?
Sure. So the oil that we pull out of the ground, do you know what that is? That's million-year-old, decomposed, prehistoric animals. That's what that is. And what those animals did was sunlight came down and hit a bunch of plants. The plants turned that into energy that they could use. Then animals came around and ate those plants and stored the energy in their bodies. Then other animals ate those animals and stored that energy. And then they died. And what we use as oil is million-year-old prehistoric. It's basically sun. It's sun energy that came from the sun that was stored in biological agents and is now sitting in the ground.
Okay.
So biologically is a way to store energy. Perhaps the most efficient way.
Okay, well...
So I don't know if there's a way to...
My gas tank, my car, my truck stores energy. Yes, it does. The transport of it is the question, right?
Yes. But if you could cram an entire gas tank worth of energy into a AA battery, okay? If you could cram an entire gas tank worth of energy into one AA battery, and ship an entire truck full of those batteries,
that would be like putting the equivalent of, let's say, a tanker full of oil on a hotshot pickup. As far as amount of
and then you're at a net energy efficiency. That's you don't have to spend more energy to ship it. You're spending less energy than what actually gets there. So a more efficient battery.
Oh, okay. Well, my next question is, why is that news? And why is the Brookings Institute? I mean, that's just common knowledge. I mean, most people in their daily lives, they look for more efficient ways every day to do things. Now, they may not always do it. They may leave lights on and not think about it and wonder why their electric bill's so high. But generally, people, they buy a car to fit their needs because they either want to go fast or they want and look cool, or they don't care how they look and they get really good fuel mileage. I mean, that, and I'm not downing what the Brookings Institute was saying, but my question is, why is that so innovative? I mean, that's just merely looking for something innovative and more efficient.
I don't know. I don't know what it was about this year that made them say, okay, now's the time. If I had to guess, and since I'm on the radio, I would just guess, somehow there's a new technology that's sprung up in a lab probably over the last couple of years that they're thinking, okay, maybe this is possible now. So if we throw enough money at research into this, I think we can come up with a solution.
Yeah, well, whoever this person is better just give away the technology or they'll get Tesla'd.
They might, you know. Did you see a thing coming through where they're trying to make patents illegal?
Okay, who is?
I don't know. I just kind of saw it in a clip somewhere. Let me pull it up.
I mean, that would be, which if you ask me, would be wonderful. But, I mean, that would literally be getting into a constitutional change.
Could be. Okay, look at just news, because I saw this pop up yesterday, and the patent antitrust interface.
Hey, while you're looking that up, I'm going to completely change the subject just really, really quick. Last night, Ben and I went to dinner with a dear friend of ours for his birthday, and Ben introduced me to the coolest damn iPhone app I've ever heard of in my life. It's called Tinder. Tinder. It's the simplest, most efficient way of meeting people in your close proximity. I guess I'm not...
It's going to change.
I'm really not even...
It's going to revolutionize the way we get hookups.
Yeah, this really isn't changing the subject. This it kind of goes along with just, it's more efficient. It's just an app. Just install it, and it finds people within a, I don't know, 10-mile radius of you who are on there.
I set mine to 100 miles because we're out in the middle of the desert.
Okay, I didn't even know I didn't know that setting was there, and it just gives you all these people. If you sign up for it, your profile picture of your Facebook, that's what it sends to everybody else. And in my case, I'm straight, and I've got that on my Facebook, I assume, and so it sends me the profile pictures of different women, and it tells you whether or not you've got interests, common interests. Most of the women it sends me, I don't care how pretty they are, if they don't have at least a few common interests, I just shit can it. But yeah, this is just, I think it's brilliant. But
so what it does, is it shows you women in my case, women within your area, and it works a lot like hot or not. You hit hot or you hit not. Everything is, and they do the same to you. And everything's completely anonymous unless both of you happen to choose hot on each other, in which case it'll send you a message and say, hey, you've both chosen one another, and it'll allow you to message them. And you can talk back and forth.
Yeah, I mean,
how cool is that?
And you click on interests, and you scroll down. Okay, if you're interested in puppies, and so the Constitution, or a movie, or whatever, it just lists how many interests you have in common. So it's pretty ingenious. I'm kind of impressed with it.
Yeah, I am too. It's called Tinder, Tinder. Get on it. I think it's going to revolutionize the way people date one another.
Now, tell me again how this came about. How did the inventors of Tinder come about making this app? And
I'm not entirely sure, but it does crash about once a day. And when I looked up why, the people who designed it said, "Listen, we just put this thing together while we were drinking 3 weeks ago. We didn't realize it was going to take off like this. So they're having to update it and upgrade it. They didn't." So if you get on it, you're getting in on the ground floor of this new thing, and I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and it's a free app at that. I can't believe they're not charging for it.
Well, I don't think they intended people outside of just their social network to get their hands on it, but it's just booming in popularity, and I really don't think it's more than a month old.
Wow.
So yeah, you get it on the ground floor. Tinder. It's kind of like Grindr. Like gay people, I found out have an app called Grindr, which is the exact same thing.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't know about it either, but I was staying in a room with a gay dude when I was in Washington D.C. and he told me about it. He mentioned it. I had to look it up. And yeah, so Tinder. I wonder if it took its name somehow from Grindr, but it's awesome. It's awesome. Get on to Tinder.
Well,
and tell all your women friends to get on to Tinder.
Well, did you find that thing you were looking up about somebody? I would assume it'd have to be some kind of congressperson trying to ban or do away with patents.
Well, I haven't been able to find it because there's always so much news about patents. Right? I mean, basically what it comes down to is that because technology is advancing so quickly now, all right, people can just make a patent for something and make it broad sounding and general enough. They'll be awarded the patent, and in 10 years when that thing becomes invented, maybe it's not even that specific thing, but the patent is broad enough that that person who patented it can then sue for patent infringement, and it's apparently starting to get ridiculous. So somebody is out calling for the end of patenting things.
Yeah, I can see again during the late 18th century when the Constitution was being born. I can see maybe where it looked like a good idea. Okay, well, if I come up with an idea that is productive and everybody wants, why shouldn't I capitalize on it? But man, there are literally now millions and tens of millions of patents. I mean, how far can you go? Do you want billions of patents? And who's going to keep up with it? And if you come up with something, and you say, well, I've got a patent, or I've got applied for a patent. Well, okay, prove that yours is uniquely different than 10 billion other people's patents. How the hell would you keep up with it? And,
well, right.
And on top of that, as far as patents go, you are literally... You will become a status from hell whenever if you are endorsing the use of patents, in my opinion, because you're saying, I came up with this and I'm not able to protect its content and sell it, and me profit it, but so therefore I want government to enforce it, and I'm going to rely on government to enforce it to make sure I keep my money.
Right, and what's happened is an entire industry of what they call patent trolls has popped up. And that's exactly what these groups do, is they try to get broadly worded, general-sounding things patented, and they don't create any product. They don't do anything other than get patents, and then in 5 years, when a cell phone company comes out with a similar product, they sue them. Yeah, and they get rich this way. But
oh my God, that really doesn't surprise me at all. That just doesn't surprise me.
So yeah, there is legislation being.
I'd like you if you.
Although I can't find it, but
that'd be very, very interesting, because I mean that gets into the whole intellectual property thing, and
it does, and intellectual property is in a weird way, sometimes I understand it. Just because, as someone who has written songs before, all right, it's very frustrating when you write a song and 5 years later you hear it on the radio and it wasn't you making a dime off of that. Yeah, of course that's frustrating.
Okay.
On the other hand, it's just it's a song. I don't know.
Well, that's my point.
Think about Stefan Molyneux's books, all right? Now, he's written books, and he's thrown them completely on the Internet for free, and we're all very happy about that. But really, there's nothing stopping me from just copy and pasting that entire book, sending it to Random House or whatever, getting them to publish it, and, me make a couple of bucks off of that.
Okay, well, if that's the case, now let's just take that. For example, let's say Ben Farmer downloaded, what's that book that he had to correct you on? Universally preferential behavior, whatever it is. Actually, I've started listening to it. He reads it aloud. You can listen to it at radio.com. But anyway, let's say you downloaded the whole thing, sent it to Random House, and you made $10 million off of it. Okay, now what? Okay, you made the money. You got government force to say that you own it and nobody else does. Okay, if you ask me, okay, Stefan came up with the book, came up with the words, constructed the ideas, put them down on paper or into a computer. The person, okay, it would be up to him to somehow market it in a way to let the whole world know all at the same time, or publish it to a website that is dated saying, my name is Stefan Molyneux, and I'm the one that wrote this book.
Right.
The same way with the song. Okay, if you come up with a song that you wrote, why, and then you hear it somewhere else 5 years later on the radio, why were you so, as the artist, not you in particular, Ben, but anybody, why were you, as the songwriter, so careless and reckless to let it get out to one or two people? I mean, why didn't you just go to a venue and say, my name is Ben Farmer, and I'm writing this song. Today's date is blah, 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 and here goes my song. You've never heard this anywhere in the world, and get it documented and get a bunch of witnesses to hear it, and that way if somebody else ever takes it and runs with it and goes to some big signing company, you can always... that's the agorist movement coming out in me, where, okay, you can go to that person or go to a website, be creative, and say, look, this Joe Schmo guy over here, he's not the one that came up with that song. I wrote that damn song, and here's the proof.
Right. To me, the carelessness doesn't enter into it. I mean, it's immoral across the board. But what I'm trying to get into is I think what Stefan's answer to me stealing his book would be, is to advertise, to go onto his podcast and say, he stole my book, here's proof, and the way we're going to handle that is by ostracizing it, by not...
Just by saying the word stole, that indicates ownership. Right?
Okay, yeah, fair enough, yeah.
If you stole his book, then his ideas, his words, then he would be saying... Now, I'm not putting words in Stefan's mouth because I have no idea if that's how he would phrase it or not. But for, say, in your case, if you stole it from him, that would indicate there was ownership somewhere and it got transferred to someone else without their permission. There was force initiated and it was taken, meaning there was ownership. So that would that or would that not be intellectual property?
Yeah. So if he's putting out his ideas with no intent on it, all right, would I then be immoral of taking that work and monetizing it somehow? Would that be immoral of me? I mean, to me, it feels like it would be, but I can't somehow find a rational argument.
I would say, yeah, it would be, unless in the book you made it clear that another guy, a friend of mine, somebody I look up to, whatever you want to call him, wrote this, and I'm just the one publishing it. I would say...
And making all the money.
Maybe it'd be less immoral if you gave him half the money, or gave him credit in the book, or sent people to his website in the book. I mean, last night I was really bored, and I figured I downloaded a free app on video editing. I finally learned how to clip clips together, and I downloaded a Kokesh video where he interviews this very unintelligent person, and and the title is the logic of still supporting Obama. And as I was watching it, I was thought, you know what? That lady is so dense. It just reminds me of the movie Idiocracy. So I downloaded a mashup of Idiocracy, and after every question that he asked and her answer, I put in a clip of a quote from the movie Idiocracy, and then just went on throughout it. It's like 6 or 7 minute video. So after I got done, I saved it all, and I posted it to my own YouTube. I did not create Adam's video. I did not create, obviously, Idiocracy. And I don't have any way of getting a hold of the creators of Idiocracy, but I can obviously get a hold of Adam, so I emailed it to him. Well, throughout the whole video, it's just got his little AVTN logo. It's got, it's everything him, except I added something else. And I was just basically pushing forth he was making fun of this lady by pointing out how stupid she is, what an idiot she was, and I made it better. Now, I don't monetize my YouTube channel. I'm not a partner or anything. I don't even know if I were to use the Idiocracy stuff, I'd probably get fined and kicked off of YouTube. But I just emailed it to him, and he posted it, and it just said thanks. It promotes him. And but he posted my link with my YouTube channel, so I got some. I don't know how many viewers. I haven't looked at it since this morning, but it was doing.
Well, hang on, Caleb, because there's a great point that's come up in the chat room. This is Matthew Mansell. Says Stefan's works are copyrighted already, and the law grants people copyright automatically. So that's what I'm saying. One wouldn't go to the law. Let's say there's no government out there. How do you handle these kinds of things? Just through ostracization, which is what we say is the way to handle that. That's a peaceful way to handle that.
Certainly.
We say, well, we're not going to buy that guy's stuff anymore, and you will have lost, all of your reputation and confidence that people have in you. But you've already made $10 million.
Okay, I'm reading Matthew's quote there, and Matthew, maybe you can clear this. I'm not a copyright expert, but what is the definition of copyright? Does that mean I published this and made it known to the world, and on this certain date that I did this?
No, you don't even have to. You don't even have to publish it. You just have to prove that not only that you came up with it first, okay, but that this guy also stole it from you. Now, I'm not a copyright expert either, but because I was in the music business, I know how it works in music, at least.
Okay, but...
So back in the day... Go ahead.
Well, okay, but prove via how? Through what vehicle?
Well, that's...
Through government?
So back in the day, you used to be able to... You'd record your song, you'd put it in an envelope, and then you'd mail it to yourself, and then it would have the postal stamp on it with the date. You would never reopen it.
Right.
And then if it came up, you would open it in court. That doesn't hold up anymore for some reason. So what you have to do is you can publish it on any website, get it onto iTunes, put it on your damn Facebook page. These things you'll be okay with. The hard part is going to be now proving that person actually stole it from you, because people do have parallel ideas. So how you do that?
Right, you do.
Just mismatch of things. But people do have parallel ideas all the time. And that's the difficult part, is proving that person stole it directly from you.
Again, when you say steal, you imply ownership.
Correct.
So I come up with a brand new recipe for the coolest mixed drink ever. Mm-hmm. Do I own that?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that if I
say I do
hard
own it, as long as I am able to physically protect it myself. Just like I own this pen that I'm holding in my hand right here. I own this pen. And it's not because I've got a patent. It's not because I've got it registered. I don't have it published it anywhere. It's simply in my possession, my gate is locked, my door is locked, and if anybody's going to come in here and get it, they're going to have to go through a gate, a door, and a shotgun, and a pistol, and a bunch of other guns that I've got loaded, because you're not going to take my goddamn pin. But I don't have it registered. I'm not going to go whine to government if I leave my pin out in the street and someone drives by and picks it up. That would be careless of me to leave my pin out there. I like my pen. I write with it. It's an instrument that I use, so I keep it close to myself. So and I see writings as far as books or songs the very same way. You just have to figure out a way to protect it yourself. Now, and you can use other people, but I would say you'd have to pay these other people, because no one's going to, or not everybody's going to work all the time for free. You can pay entities to say, protect my product. Make it known that I'm the one that wrote this song. I'm the one that made this book. Let the world know that that my product, or whatever it is I'm putting out there, I'm the one who did this. But if you ask me, the copyright or the patent thing, which goes back to constitutionality, you're relying on government to say, "Hey, government, those guys stole my patent. Go get them."
Right. I think we all agree that we're not for that. But let's say we live in the libertarian utopia. All right, and what I do for a living is I am a songwriter. And everyone in the little town I live in agrees that they like my songs. They like that that's the only work that I do. Well, I suppose if they all like it, then they would support me, wouldn't they? They wouldn't need that kind of stuff. Okay. I don't know. To me, maybe someone can call in and give you better info on intellectual property, but that's one that I don't fully have a fully developed philosophy on yet, because I don't quite get it.
Well, obviously, I've still got questions as well, but I always look at it like I do everything. If it's a good idea, does government have to be involved? And in my in my case, if it has to involve government, it's a bad idea, because we all
I agree.
Efficient and brutal and violent governments are.
Yeah, absolutely. But is it theft if somebody steals a song that I wrote? Steals in the sense that I wrote the song. I go to the local honky tonk and I play it, and they pay me $20 or something, and then somebody else gets the song and.
Hey, Ben.
Or somehow, yeah.
I want you to hold on. Another person's calling in, but I don't know if it's going to dump you or if it's going to bring this person on. I really don't know.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Just hit the add to conference button.
Okay, I don't even see the add for conference button now. I see the plus sign.
Yeah, hit the plus sign.
Okay, here goes. Hitting the plus sign. Send file, send contact, share screen, add people to this call.
Anybody? I mean, I'm still here.
Well, you're still there, but it just gives all of the Skype contacts. Oops, don't do that. Incoming call. Oh, well, I guess they hung up. Oh, well. I'll get better.
Yeah, it's just that the way I'm arguing is probably insufficient. Like I said, this is not something I've developed the philosophy on. I don't know enough about intellectual property. I know how it works in the current system, but I don't have a good grasp on how we in the Liberty Movement view it.
Well, I mean, I guess it comes down to define intellectual and define property. Intellectual is kind of like technology, the way we put things together. Property is something that it can be owned. I don't guess it has to be tangible, or maybe it does have to be tangible.
Well, maybe it does. I don't know. But to me, I feel like if I write an amazing song or an amazing book, I mean, that's clearly not something that everyone can do. That's a skill that I have that should be marketable in some way. And without ownership of song that I write, is it still possible to market that? I guess it.
Well, you
I don't know.
An excellent songwriter and an excellent marketer.
Well, just let's say I'm not an excellent marketer. Let's just say I'm an excellent songwriter. So then, would somebody who is just an excellent marketer be able to take the fruits of my labor and make money off of it?
Well, just don't let.
And I wouldn't.
Don't let them have it.
Well, but that's kind of the thing about intellectual property is if you're not letting anyone have it, what's the point? You know, that's the point of writing an awesome song is so everyone can hear it.
Well, yeah, everyone can hear it, but only the people that you choose, whether it's yourself or your partnerships that you've made or a company that you're involved with, reap the benefits of it monetarily.
Sure, but once
you are a great
hear a song,
songwriter, but if let's say you're a shitty marketer, well, you can make friends, can't you? Most people can. Find before you release it, find a marketing friend. Create friendships and partnerships that you can say, okay, hey, friend, you're a trustworthy guy. I've known you for a long, long time. You're a hell of a marketer. I mean, you sell things, you promote things, you're wonderful at it. I'm not very good at that. I'm a hell of a goddamn good songwriter. Let's have a contract and let's form a partnership and I will write the song.
But again, that's not the problem. The problem is some random guy in Idaho would then hear the song and then claim that he wrote it.
So
and find himself a marketer.
You've already got it played on radio. You've got it on the internet. You've played live shows. Fuck him.
Well, but there's no action. There's nothing actionable there. The only action I would then have would to try to convince more people that I wrote the song than he could convince.
Okay, hey, that's Matthew Mansell that was calling in.
Okay. Yeah, he seems to know something about it.
I just added, Matthew, I just added you as a contact. And so he'll either call me, let me see if I can figure out how to scroll down here. Find him, there he is, Matthew Mansell. I'll just call him. Oh, he's calling, Matthew Mansell calling. Add to group call. Matthew Mansell, is that you, brother?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, well, I am learning on the fly, as I often do on this Skype thing, and I've got my Schmohawk partner here with me, Mr. Ben Farmer. I don't know if you two know each other or not, but we're talking about this intellectual property thing, and you're in the chat room, and have you got some insight on intellectual property?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, intellectual property itself, the whole idea, copyright itself, let's see. The best material I actually advised to get against intellectual property was Stephen Kinsella actually had great work on it. But in and of itself, it is, once you get something, let's say copyright, it's like you write it, down, it's automatically basically granted to it. You don't even have to actually file for it. Now, you probably can go in to an office and file for it in the court to actually be an enforcement if you want to. When it comes to patents, you do have to file those. It deals with the difference. Copyright deals with ideas. Patent more or less deals with inventions and whatnot. So,
okay, but hang on. You said you automatically granted the copyright. Granted by whom?
Well, the state. Keep in mind, the idea of intellectual property itself is the state's idea. It comes granted from the very. It is something constructed by the state. It's not something that just spontaneously arose.
Okay, well, but if it's granted by the state, that to me sounds like no matter who comes up with what, the state owns it, and they will grant it to whomever claims they came up with it? Am I hearing that right?
Well, basically, the person who complained, let's say filed for it, let's say deals with patent, the person who filed for the patent first, or from the, matter of fact, I have my property law book here. I think it actually deals with intellectual property. It's a contract. No, it's right. It's my, I think it's the real estate law book. Real quick. But it's the person who basically files for it first. It's really a race of punching the deadline. They're the ones granted the patent. So basically, that's how it works. I'll get the exact data for you in just a second about that.
Well, the more and more we keep talking about patents and intellectual property and, what's the other one? I had a brain fart.
Well, they're all under
eminent domain.
Well, no, patents and copyrights. The more statist it sounds.
Well, it all follows under the notion of intellectual property rights. By the way, these are not the only two things of intellectual property rights. There are others that Kinsella himself actually mentioned, and my law book mentioned too. If I can actually find it, I can't remember what page it's on. But it is the problem I have with intellectual property rights is the fact, number one, the whole idea of property ownership itself is the idea. Keep in mind that all things are scarce. When they're dealing with, why do we have property ownership? Why do we have, say, X owns this piece of parcel of land? Because land, trees, all of these products are scarce. Resources, water, scarce resources. So you have to have some means to allocate I think allocate would be a good word, to decide who has control over that resource. This is what the idea of owning something means. It means you have domain over it. You have control over it. You get to decide who uses the property, if anyone, and what happens. So the
way I've always said is the idea of property is, are you freely able to access X? It's about access to something.
Well, yeah, access would be a good one. Access and use, well, more or less. Or do you control it? That's why you own your own body. You have full domain over your body. You get to decide, minus the state, which is active state doesn't exist, and everyone's really, really free. You get to decide what you do with your own body, what you put in your own body. You get to, who fucks you, the whole 9 yards. If you get to also decide if you want to enslave yourself to someone, you can do that. You have total control of your body. Bodies are scarce resources. There's only one of you, not an infinite number. So it is the same concept with land and other means of property. Intellectual ideas themselves aren't scarce. Everyone can come up with these ideas and think of them independently of each other. As a matter of fact, I've seen places where my stepdad actually comes up with an idea about a year later, and this would be awesome if someone invented. And like a few years later, that very thing actually comes up and invent. Every one of us have something like that, right?
Yeah, that's that parallel ideas that Ben was talking about.
Yeah, right. Ideas aren't scarce, so how do you own them? You really don't. The other thing about intellectual property, what it does, let's say you have a copyright. What I am saying is you cannot print, let's say I come up with a book, or let's say even not a book, let's say I come up with a poem, and I write the poem. I am telling, by enforcing this copyright, I am saying that you cannot put these words, this poem, on your sheet of paper.
Or what?
I literally am exercising domain over your property. You own your paper and your ink.
Okay, so my question is, or else what? Let's say I do do what you just said and write your words down on my paper and I make money off of it, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's a good. Well, in a free society, I would do nothing. But, and let's say, in order to enforce it, I would have to get and copyright. I go and let's say I take you to court and force you through the threat of violence of the government to pay reparation for what you've stolen, or quote unquote stolen, or for that very act. I'm making an injunction saying you can't write X and X on your paper. If you do, I'll sue you for X amount of money, or you'll be put in a cage for an X amount of years, maybe. Yeah. So it all depends upon the situation, I guess, and who's enforcing what.
Well, then that just reinforces my belief that intellectual property is fucking bullshit.
Well, I'm not trying. Hang on, guys. Maybe I'm not articulating this properly, but this isn't the conversation I'm trying to have. And what I'm trying to have is in the libertarian utopia, in that society where there is no state, if I write a song, shouldn't everyone agree that if money is made on that song, I should at least get a piece of that? Are we saying that we don't agree with that? If I spend my labor and create something that's never been created before, it just now belongs to Ben, but I have no right to make money on that?
I will say...
Hang on, Matt. Just the same reason, the analogy I gave about my pen. I have a right to keep and use and own my pen, but if I leave it out in the street and someone steals it and starts using it and writing and takes the benefit of it, that's been irresponsibility on my part for leaving my damn pen out in the street.
Yeah, but you can't leave a song out in the street. You know what I mean? Like, you have the whole thing of a song is to have other people enjoy it as well as you.
Well,
but if somebody else is using the music that I wrote and claiming that he wrote it and making money off of that.
Well, why didn't
that's what I'm asking. Is that not also theft?
Well, no, it's not theft. You can claim that it's fraud, maybe, but theft, no. I will say you should have the right. Let's say you write a song, you should have the right to sell it to an artist or have an artist sing it. The whole idea of the songwriter to have their song sung. Generally, am I not right? So in that process, you should have a right to make money off of that, and of your act of writing it and giving or selling this product to, or I guess, piece of paper, whatever, to a band. And that you receive payment for your creativity. That doesn't mean that you should receive payment for every time that song is used or printed it or reprinted on the internet or something. That just means you should have payment for the initial transaction of you're writing a song for X band or something, your artist. Fill in the blank.
Sure, no, and that's kind of how it is. Well, there's some caveats to that, but yeah, if I were to sell a song to a band or to a studio or whatever these days, yeah, you get payment up front. But let's say I don't sell it to a band. I'm also the performer. I'm the writer and performer, and I play it at the local fair one evening, and some guy in the crowd goes, "Hey, I like that song," and he goes and plays it at a local fair the next county over and claims he wrote it, and suddenly now he's getting booked to go on fair after fair after fair on the music that I wrote, and I'm not getting anything of it. And like I said, I don't have an answer here, but I feel like that's a form of theft. And I think you're right, it's certainly fraud, but I would not have any sort of... The only thing I could do would be to get speak loudly enough to where more people agree with me that I wrote the song than people agreed that he wrote the song. And that's it. All I was able to do.
You have to speak loudly. If you have to protect what you think you came up with, you have to protect your song. I challenge anybody to go out there and create a show on Fox News called Adam versus the Man, hosted by Adam Johnson. from Des Moines, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I challenge anybody to do that, and if it makes even if it's a great show, I challenge anybody to do that and see how far that guy gets.
So are we agreeing that that is the solution to that then, is it would be up to us then to let it be known that no, in fact, I wrote that song, and there we go. Are we saying that's the solution?
I
mean, it sounds right to me.
That's the only way I can, unless someone else can come up with a different way of protecting it. But it's the only way that I can see at this moment without involving the state and being the state a son of a bitch and getting the state involved. I mean, you've got to be.
Okay.
You have to protect your stuff.
Well, keep in mind that the libertarian, one of the second libertarian actions is that of contract rights. Is another thing we push as libertarians. Let's say you write a song, you're also a performer. Well, part of this idea of performing a fair and whatnot, you do contracts, and maybe beforehand you make contracts. You can write the name of the song that you're playing or something, I guess. Say, look, I will play X and X amount of songs for you, and even maybe name songs that you're playing, and you play. And keep in mind, if you're doing contracts are dated. So if someone came later and started singing your songs in public, or singing songs and claiming that he wrote them and making the money, you can say, look, I can prove this guy didn't write the song. I came up with it first, or started doing this first, and he was because of this contract here, where I initially done this gig. You could do it that way, establish through contract.
Okay, all right.
Also,
okay.
I will note that an anarchist society does not necessarily mean an absence of courts either.
Right, we would go to our DRO.
We have it all being produced from the private sector.
Well, yeah, of course, and I get that, and from a local geographic area as well, I would assume, correct?
Well, yeah, because whatever the local community.
Well, or whatever the scope of the DRO is, the dispute resolution organization.
Right.
Whatever the scope of that
whatever you agreed upon in the beginning. I mean, most people would say that if you live in California, your neighbor who is, you wouldn't consider someone who is in Maine to be your neighbor. So if you get into a dispute resolution organization, the DRO, what has been called it, I don't see why anybody how they could say that someone in Maine would even have any say so of someone of a going on that happened in Texas or California.
Well, in this day and age, you probably can because of the global technology where you have disputes over the internet or something. Let's say you contract someone who lives in Maine or Michigan or something, and you're in California, you can do dispute resolution. I see why not. In fact, it's done today where I think Kinsella himself has a dispute resolution. A company does not litigation, something of that nature. I can't remember the top of the name of it.
Dispute resolution?
Yeah, it is a dispute resolution, but this particular one is not, it is a form of dispute resolution, but it is recognized internationally. So you can do, and he does it online. Both sides do a fee, and the guy looks at it, applies reason, rationale, and common sense, decency, and whatnot, and he makes a judgment on it. So you can have this on the internet, a type of service. I see why not.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, I still contend that intellectual property, the idea of it is crap.
Well, the idea of going to the state for enforcement, I think, is crap.
Right. Well, that's what I meant.
Well, the thing, intellectual property, you have to show, in order to say that intellectual property is more legitimate, you would have to demonstrate that this thing existed prior to the state being established, that it's natural to us. The problem is I don't see that. There was a time when music was really like, the great classical of musicians, like the guy did the song the da 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 da. I can't remember his name.
Beethoven.
Yeah, Beethoven. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was no intellectual property then, or at least not in regarding to the music, and to be yet this floor, I'm pretty sure made money off of it. So I don't see how this would prohibit musicians from making money or creativity. Matter of fact, let's say if someone did take your song, redid it, people liked it, as long as they're not being fraudulent and saying they're you, I think it should be legit. Matter of fact, if anything, it'll get you probably more customers of some type, or maybe more performance area. People who want to call you in to perform for them more so.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Cool.
So it's more of a cost-benefit analysis on that part, but still.
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, as it stands right now, you can copyright really shitty songs, but that doesn't necessarily hurt.
Oh, you can copyright what?
Really shitty songs that you write.
He's making a jab at my preference of music. It's kind of an inside joke.
Well,
I was just going to say Lady Gaga, but anyhow.
Right.
I like some of Lady Gaga's music. I'm not going to lie.
She's definitely a hell of a performer. I'll give her that. She puts on a show. Yeah,
the same way with Rush Limbaugh. He puts on a hell of a show.
He puts on a hell of a show. He does.
Hellaciously entertaining. He's full of shit, just like Lady Gaga's full of God knows what.
Penises?
Possibly, or vaginas, or broomsticks. Or I don't know. That lady's very strange.
She's a bit strange, yeah. Okay, well, to me, I've not really ever had the intellectual property conversation before, but to me, I think that satisfies it. So thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, you're welcome. I guess it's not in my property law book. It must be in one of the others.
Now, Matthew, are you a lawyer by trade?
No, I'm taking, right now I'm a student, a university student. I'm doing pre-law, so.
Okay. So
where do you go?
Huh?
Where do you go? I'm also a student right now. I was just curious where you're going to school.
Should I name it?
Well, no.
It's a fucking law school. Yeah, man. Let's get it out there. Most people know my opinion. 99.999% of lawyers. So you're not going to name it, Matthew? Come on.
No.
No?
Okay. No, that may give you too much where I live at.
Okay. Well, I respect that. I really do. I guess sometimes I assume that, especially if you're a radio host, that is as open about your personal life as I am.
I am to an extent, but I'm not going to give you we're too daggone close where I'm at.
Right. No, he's right, because there are 4 million people listening in right now. So, there's some crazies out there, I'm sure. You never know who might want to show up.
I'm pretty sure we have most of our audience listens to the TuneIn app. Because
that's how I understand it as well.
Well, because before there's such thing as internet radio, if you listen to radio, 9 times out of 10, you are not in your house. You are driving. And so now that as long as you've got cell phone reception, if you're disgusted with the bullshit that's on the land radio, all you got to do is just flick up the old iPhone and just play away. So, I mean, I would imagine most of our listeners are listening, that they prefer radio, and they're probably on their smartphones.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the great thing... Hold on, what the hell? Okay. Oh, yeah, the great thing about is the technology is awesome. I can't wait till the day that we actually get to where it's almost like... short of the Matrix, but like the Matrix, where we can all have experience where we're almost like with each other. That would be awesome.
Right.
I mean, minus the act of having holes in your head and whatnot, but...
So, listen, Matthew, it creeps Caleb out when I talk like that, but I cannot wait to get the injection where suddenly I have billions of computers inside of me. I am excited for that. But it creeps other people out. No.
Well, the problem
I love
you have computers in your all inside of you. It's already bad when you have natural viruses. At least we can somewhat evolve.
I was going to say, just wait till your computers and your brain get hacked.
Yeah, I mean, you have computer viruses at that point.
Right, exactly. You have anti-hacking computers inside of you as well.
I know.
And if I get sick, instead of having to wait for my own biological white blood cells to come in, I could have supercharged computer-powered white blood cells that zap it before I even know I'm ill.
Okay, that's Andy. Just make sure that your enemies are not smarter than your computer.
Well, on top of this, just think about what would happen to consequences in a state society where we have this big, gigantic state that almost has power to do anything it wants to shut people down. Screw fuck the drone. Just press of a button to shut people down.
Right.
Well, right, and that's why I think it's important that we get rid of the entity that owns the monopoly on violence. That's the thing that's going to slow us down.
Are you willing to put these computers inside of yourself before that happens? Because everybody knows who gets the coolest toys before everybody else. Government.
Well, right now.
Right now, government gets the coolest toys before anybody else gets the cool toys. So I would prefer to make sure I was not connected like that until that stateless society were to come to fruition.
Yeah, well, I think the closer we get to that technological state, the more and more ridiculous a state will seem. It's a conversation I had with the guy who's the CEO of a big technology company. I'll think of it after I've hung up the phone, I'm sure. And I said, is there going to reach a point where technology outpaces government? I'm afraid to answer that question, but I can tell you it's already happening. I mean, and like what I mentioned earlier, these patent trolls that exist, it just makes government seem ridiculous. The idea of a representative democracy, when we have the technology right now where we could all just be voting on these bills on our smartphones, it's already starting to make things go, hey, maybe we don't need that anymore. And to me, that's the most peaceful way to get rid of the entity that owns the monopoly on violence, is once they start seeming ridiculous, we just start ignoring them in that aspect.
Yeah, but the only way it's going to seem ridiculous is if enough of us are able to change the opinions of the masses. Like Ben said, the Constitution is the law simply because it says it's the law. But the only reason I would add is and people believe it. If nobody believed it, nobody would abide by it. I could write the Caleb Leverett Constitution, I am king, and you must all send in 25% of your earnings to me, or else I'll send my goons out to get you, but nobody's going to believe it, so therefore it's not the law.
Hold on, I just got one small question. Are you seriously suggesting people are actually abiding by the Constitution?
No, I'm not. The lawmakers are not, obviously. But
well, and neither are the people. I mean, look at drug laws. Where the state does seem ridiculous, it gets ignored. it gets ignored. And so the more ridiculous the government comes across, the more it's just going to get ignored. I mean, to me, that seems rational to me.
Yeah.
As long as people believe in the non-aggression principle. There's the caveat.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was it. I was done.
Well, apparently people keep trying to call in, and I am too fucking stupid to figure out how to add in. Matthew, are you calling in via Skype, like the LMR guest or whatever?
I am on Skype. Yeah, I called in to LMR guest.
Okay, well, I'm able to figure that one out, but apparently something has changed on the arrangement on my screen, and I've got like 10 missed calls from 4 or 5 different numbers. So I apologize to the individuals who are trying to call in and get in on this conversation here. I'm just not. I'm too stupid to figure out how to do this, and I suppose I can call them back myself, but oh well. I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep going on this. I mean, we started out talking about the Dorner situation. Now we're talking about intellectual property. And don't get me wrong, it's been a great conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
But like I said, I will reiterate the best source on this is, and Akimichi.org actually has, I think actually had the book on their site. I know, but it's by Stephen Kinsella, called Against Intellectual Property. It's great.
Can you write that in the chat room? Can you write that down in the chat room so that I can have it spelled properly?
Yeah.
Okay, Coachella or whatever.
It'll show up here in a little while at least.
There you go. I typed it down in the LMR chat room.
Perfect. Thank you.
By the way, on the Skype chat room, I'm not sure if you were on Skype or not, but on the bubble below, I actually typed something just for y'all. Not on air, but just for y'all to where I'm actually going.
Oh, okay. I'm not privy to that info, but that's okay. I'll figure it out eventually.
I was just kidding. I mean, it's if you don't want to tell where you're going to school, I mean, you don't have to tell. You don't even have to tell your name. There's no force here. Well, hey, what? I want to change the subject. This Dorner thing, it just got me going. Are you up to date on this story?
No, actually, I heard something today about, or just before the show came on, something about shooting, an LIPD shooting thing. I have no idea what the hell that's about. I'm not really up to date on that right now, mainly because I wasn't paying attention to the news as of late. I normally do that late when I get to my show. And I've also been doing stuff, other things.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's interesting to me because, well, there's just so many caveats there. There's so many there's so many different.
Okay, maybe you can get me up to speed. What the hell happened, or at least the news media is telling us happened?
Well, as far as the news media that I've read, some guy named Christopher Jordan Dorner, age 33, 6 foot, even 270 pounds. He's a big dude. He's a former, I don't know if it's Marine or Army Ranger or something, and also he's been in and out of the LAPD. He was a cop, off and on, off and on. Well, he writes this 11-page manifesto and just completely freaks out and pledges now I don't know the specifics, to kill a bunch of cops. He's already murdered some civilians. He murdered one cop, I believe, or allegedly, as they say, and then shot at another one. I mean, he's threatened all kinds of people to do a lot more violence on them, and the LAPD is just all up in a frenzy. They're putting out guards at all these places that he's talked about in his manifesto to keep these people safe. And since he's done this, and this happened all within, to the best of my knowledge, in the last 24 hours at best, there have been 2 different shootings by other LAPD cops who were shooting at a vehicle that looked like his. A 4-door Nissan Titan pickup. One of them was 2 Asian women early this morning, about 5:30 this morning, who were simply delivering papers, got 50 bullets put in their car. One of them was hit in the hand, and one of them was hit in the back. And then shortly thereafter, and I don't have the story of that one in front of me, but shortly thereafter, another Nissan Titan 4-door pickup of the similar color was shot up like the Asian paper delivery ladies were. And I don't know if that person survived or not, but there have been 2 of them since then. And they finally found, according to news reports, Dorner's vehicle set on fire somewhere, and supposedly they've confirmed it was his. And at first, when I started this impromptu show, I was saying, my God, if you live in California and drive a 4-door dark-colored Nissan Titan, I would suggest you keep it in the garage, because there's a high probability you're going to get shot, since it's happened twice. Shot by LAPD no less, since it's happened twice since this Dorner guy lost his marbles. But I don't know if they found him. I don't know if they found him or not.
Shouldn't they try to? They should have done. I mean, just normal common sense. They should have at least confirmed that the first fucking vehicle was his.
Well, exactly, and I was playing. I mean, this seems so ridiculous. These people are acting like. Are you familiar with the Keystone Cops? The early television days of it was just music and a bunch of cops running around in fast action. You know, like probably made in the 30s or 40s.
No, because it probably was around before I was even born.
Well, yeah, unless you're born in the 30s or 40s, it was born probably around the time your great-grandparents were born. Oh, no, but just look up the Keystone Cops. It's Ben, are you still there? No, I think Ben crapped out on us. Well, if you Google or YouTube the Keystone Cops, they just play silly music, and these cops running around, they trying to enforce laws, and they don't do anything but make things worse. And that's just kind of how I see the LAPD today. And on top of that, I would like to add, how should I say this? I've already done the Rand Paul thing, but why are so many people... I'm going to rephrase that. Okay, there's this guy who's allegedly shot a bunch of people. There's a bunch of dead bodies everywhere. He's a former cop, former military service guy. If I was in L.A., and if any cop arrests any person on possession of one of God's plants on this very day, I mean, yes, raise hell anyways, but on this day in particular, I would raise mortal hell. There is a murderer on the loose, a psychopath on the loose, and they'd be out arresting people holding one of God's plants known as the marijuana plant. I would be completely outraged. I mean,
speaking of the defense, I'm willing to bet that the LAPD will never have to pay a dime whatsoever to the people that they shot who were innocent.
Maybe a little slap on the wrist. Oh, we're sorry. We'll give you a few $1,000s and make a memorial out of you. And yeah, they'll get just a slap on the wrist. Here, I'm not sure. But if that would have been just a normal citizen saying, "Hey, my name is Joe Blow, and I think I see Chris Joyner's vehicle. I'm going to pull out my gun and just fill it full of bullet holes," that person would be under the jail. But more than likely, these cops, they won't get off. I mean, they will get off. They won't face any hard time. You're exactly right. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. I guess we lost Ben or something. I don't know.
No,
I see his little screen thing.
Oh, you are there, Ben?
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I guess you had to take a little tinkle break or something. I didn't.
So I had another call. So I jumped on the other line for a second.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, that's okay. I was catching Matthew up on the Dorner situation and all the innocent people who've been shot at in the last 24 hours by the Keystone Cops LAPD. And I'm thankful according to news reports anyway, they finally found Joyner's vehicle on fire, and that way anybody who is in that area who happens to drive a dark Nissan four-door pickup, a Nissan Titan four-door pickup, can hopefully drive around without being shot at by the LAPD. And these LAPD people, maybe I'm kind of weird, but this is a big deal to me. These Keystone Cops running around shooting people because they're all up in a fucking frenzy over this freaked out guy who used to be in the military and used to be a cop, and now he's just a full-blown murderer. The conspiracy theories could just go everywhere. LAPD, as far as I'm concerned, you're the douchebag of the day. Yes, that's right. And somebody else is trying to call in, and it might be Trip. It might be Trip, but I've never seen my screen look like this, so I'm sorry.
Is he calling in on Skype or through?
I don't know, to be quite honest with you.
Well, if he's doing through Skype, then he should be able to do exactly what the hell he did to me, which I have no idea. I'm just as ignorant as she is.
Well, I keep hearing little noises and little icons bouncing around and numbers changing. Now it did say 6, now it says 7, and there's...
It didn't give you the option to just... There's Trip, there you brought him in.
I brought Trip in?
I guess, or someone did.
I think too. I see Anonymous is called, and 661's called, and 407's called.
Okay, here's what I see on my... Oh, he just went out. Okay.
Now, I think what it is, you have to be a...
Oh, okay, never mind.
You've got to be friends with all these people, and now that we've got a brand new number, like an hour ago, and a brand new... this contact it's not all set up, and I just don't know how to do it, but I don't know. But anyway, my tire's hanging out. I'm getting kind of tired anyway, so I don't even know if I could go on very much longer. In fact, if y'all want to keep going, great. Y'all can call in and do if you want to do it. I'm thinking that turned out. I'm just going to keep playing just a little bit more of the theme music for the LAPD and their Keystone Cops antics. This is for the LAPD, who shoots any Nissan dark-colored vehicle, regardless of what the passengers look like. Christopher Dorner, age 33, is a 270-pound, 6-foot black male. And the LAPD has shot 2 Asian women who drove a car that might have looked like Christopher Dorner's truck. These Asian women are A, females, B, I would imagine by the video I saw, very small human beings. They do not look like a 6 foot, 270 pound black male. So it's time for the LAPD to be like the Keystone Cops. Run into your cars. Press the gas. Pull out your guns. Serve and protect the holy shit out of everybody in your neighborhoods in the city of Los Angeles. Okay, I am officially out. I don't know if Ben or Matthew are still there. If you are,
I'm still here.
Okay, well, I've just got to turn out. If you've got the new call-in information, if you want to call in, I'm sure Eric would be just tickled shitless. I've got to turn out. I've got things to do. I've got to let my gay cat in, and I got to let my straight dog out so they can continue. But Matthew, thanks for calling in. Ben, thanks for calling in. I've really enjoyed everything. The intellectual property conversation was just great, and I've learned something from it. So I'll holler at you homies later.
Yeah, no problem. See you later. Have a blessed night, and everyone else too.
All right, take care.
Guess that can conclude the show, I guess.
Yeah, I'm out.
Did you ever wonder how the jury in a case you followed could have reached such a bad verdict? Sometimes it's because the jurors weren't told the truth about their power. That is, they're rarely informed that if applying the law would bother their conscience, they can acquit. Instead, they're told to apply the letter of the law, like it or not. If they do as they're told, they may go home feeling as badly about their verdict as you do. Learn about a juror's right to say no to bad law. Call the Fully Informed Jury Association at 1-800-TELL-JURY.
The Caleb Leverett radio program is dedicated to debunking the delusional American mythology known as statism, which is merely the belief that the majority of human population must be controlled by psychotic, lying, cheating, stealing, murder, whom most Americans despise and adore at the same time, which is nothing short of political Stockholm Syndrome. So if you're ready to unplug the cord from the back of your neck and enter into the realm of absolute truth, then join us live Mondays and Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Central at www.libertymovementradio.com.
Welcome to the National Drug Abuse Quiz. Today's question, which drug has never caused a fatal overdose? Caffeine, marijuana, or Tylenol? Susan.
Tylenol.
No. Frank.
Caffeine.
Wrong. Marijuana has never caused a fatal overdose.
Surprised? Find out what else the government is hiding. Visit the Marijuana Policy Project Foundation at joinmpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Hey, this is Trip NWO Fighter, and you're listening to LibertyMovementRadio.com. Are you tired of the government telling you what to think and feel and believe? Have you felt that burning in the pit of your stomach for most of your life that tells you that something is terribly wrong with the world in which we live? Then join me on Sunday and Wednesday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. The most up-to-date news on activism, government corruption, how to win back our republic. Trip NWO Fighter, the show that gets America's balls back. On LibertyMovementRadio.com.
What can we do to make a change? 'Cause we just wanna be free. We don't want this holy state. We just want love and liberty.
Hey, this is Tatiana Moroz, and you're listening to LibertyMovementRadio.com.
Never make a YouTube video. The knowledge will start to grow. So make a YouTube video.